everybody, and welcome to Passport to Design. This is the show where we talk about everything international business in the design world, the hows, the yes, the buts. And I'm your host, Christina Richardson. I was born in the northern part of Sweden a very long time ago. I really don't want to talk about it. I have a past. I do have a past as a construction engineer and also a mechanical engineer. But in my heart, I've always been an interior designer. And I made the jump. In my 40s, I switched careers, and now I run an international design business. And I'm here to show you that working in a different country is absolutely doable. And if you want it, it can happen. And so let's just get started. Our first guest, holy moly. She is a luxury celebrity star designer queen. She's a former attorney. She's an artist. She has like this e-commerce thing for antique stores. She's a well-known and very admired speaker. She's a TV host. What can this woman not do? And on top of this, she moved to Barcelona. She is such a huge inspiration, and I'm so impressed with Kelli Ellis. Welcome to Passport to Design.
Thank you so much. I'm really happy to be here. Very excited to be your first guest. That's
Yay.
I really appreciate that. But I dropped out of law school, so I got to put that up front. Yeah, I spent about a year and a half in law school and decided I just cannot do this. My father's a judge, and I'm an only child. But I have to say that my law school background did help me a lot, but it was definitely me going, do I want to fight for a living? No, I just want to fight with design clients for a living. So
okay. Yeah.
Yeah, but not a lawyer, but very much have a lot of appreciation for the law and of course design.
Wow. Okay. And now you're in Barcelona.
Yes, I love it. Absolutely love it here.
Yeah. How's your weekend been? What do you do during the weekends in Barcelona?
Well, this past weekend, I actually had a group of 14 ladies celebrating a 60th birthday party for my friends. And so it was a lot of going out, a lot of walking, a lot of touring, a lot of tapas, and a lot of cava. And it was really, really fun. I enjoy when my friends come to town so that I can host them, show them a little bit. If I'm lucky enough to meet them for a minute, or for an hour, or for a day. I just love when people come into town to see me and visit me. So it was a long plan. We planned it for about a year. So it was really nice to see that. Yeah.
Lovely. What did they think about Barcelona?
Well, it's funny because there's such a huge mix of people, but it doesn't really matter. People always say the first thing that they say is the architecture is what they really love. And they come and they experience Gaudi, our famous architect, of course, from Barcelona. Experience the culture, as you know, being a European, you understand, but being from this part of the world, you understand. And so it's very fun to see people broadening their views of what architecture means and history and where we actually get and pull our cues from in the US in particular. So it was, yeah.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Gaudi myself. But so I have a confession to make. So one of the first things I ever watched when I signed up for TDN was actually, it was you being in, it was you. It was Hilary Farr and you were interviewed by Carson Kressley.
That's right.
And I remember this so clearly because there was this one thing that kind of stuck with me. And it was when you said that when you came to Barcelona, it kind of hit you like a train. It was like, this is the spot. And can you, I'm sure our audience wants to know, like,
can you
share that moment?
Absolutely. And it's so funny because now I currently do a podcast. It's called the Royal Expat Society with two other Americans. And we do a show on the radio, American radio here, which is so much fun. And we talk about that. We talk about that moment for all of us, and then making the leap. But I do remember the first time that I came to town many years ago, about 9 years ago now. And just landing here and the feeling that I had with the architecture and the cultural similarities. So I'm from Southern California, and so it's very Latin in culture, with the flavors and the tastes and some of the look and feel of the buildings. And so when I came, it was, you know, a little bit of what I love about the Latin culture times 100. But there was something very familiar for me, even though I hadn't had Spanish since high school. I understand a lot. And so I was just excited, and I just, oh God, I love being immersed in things that one, for some reason, feel at home. Like I knew that when I landed, I cried, and when I left, I cried. I think that's what I said to Carson
Yeah,
too.
exactly.
That was when I was like, okay, I need to go spend time here. I need to go and spend some actual time here and fall in love and be immersed in this culture to see if I really love it. And it's been 4 years. So yes, the answer is yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes, I
Okay,
love it.
so your gut was actually telling you, Kelly,
Yeah,
you need to be here.
exactly. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to know, and I think our audience too, is like, do you trust your gut in other major decisions too? Like,
Oh,
since when you transferred from almost becoming an attorney
yeah.
to design, like how did that all pan out? Like what
That's
happened?
probably the first time that I actually listened to my gut, because you know, when you're younger and you're always listening to the people around you, your
Yeah.
parents, the folks around you, and you like you said, you know, your heart always spoke to you about interior design, no matter what you were doing. You know, and you definitely have used both sides of your brain, like I do. I have a marketing background. So it's, you know, the business and the creative and balancing those. And so, yeah, there's a one point where you kind of have to listen, because it screams at you almost,
It
right?
does,
Where
right? Yeah, I can
you're
relate
like,
to that.
I really think I need to start listening to my gut, because it's drawing me in certain ways. And I've learned to listen to more than just my gut, but things around me. You know, when you start to, I can equate this to anything. This will be a silly example, but like, say you start to look at a new car, and all of a sudden, every car around you is that car, because you're laser focused on it, right? You're
Oh
like,
yeah.
okay, I guess, you know, this person bought one, that person bought one. All of a sudden you start hearing, because you're listening, right? It's
Yep.
the same thing. So when I started thinking about Barcelona, it just started coming up everywhere, like everywhere. And not just like because MSN or Instagram was listening to me, but I mean, like,
The
I really,
universe was
yeah,
talking to you.
bigger things, where people around me were saying, you know, oh, we would love for you to be in Europe. Oh, we have a project we'd like you to do in Europe. Oh, this is coming up in Europe. And so it just kept going, like big things where you couldn't ignore the trajectory. You know, you're just like, okay, I get it. I'm going.
I'm going. Yeah.
I'm
So
going.
you basically had projects in Barcelona and Spain before you actually moved there.
I had some projects in the UK, and
Okay.
then and in Barcelona. So both. But I went to school in the UK. I went to school in London. So I knew that I didn't want to be in London because I'm used to warmer weather.
Yeah.
From Southern California, I thought, oh, that's not going to work out. I don't think I'm going to love it.
Yeah.
And knowing how much I loved it here, it was a no-brainer for me to just come straight to Barcelona and you know, set up camp, can't start
Yeah.
camping, getting my roots.
So I'm pretty sure like our audience wants to know, and I'm curious too, like uh how do you how do you go about designing in another country where you don't live yet?
Yeah.
And like, did you just do the design plan? How did you?
Yeah. I actually did a building of studio apartments to get my feet wet. A friend of mine who is he really works in funding, so he funds different buildings and different projects to where they'll build an entire building, and then they're like, okay, we need a designer for this project. And so that's something I'm currently working with him now in the south of Spain. But it was a project in Barcelona. They were building a building of studio apartments in a certain little area. And it was like the perfect thing to get my feet wet and my hands
Yeah.
really in, because learning about the permitting is completely different. Learning about how to source materials is completely different.
Exactly.
All of the different, it feels like the US times, like, not times, minus 30 years, in that the years of when the interior designer was the only person you could call to get furniture and get furniture in mass. It feels like that. Any project feels almost like you're doing a hospitality project. Like you have to know the direct sales reps for all of the beds. You have to know the sales reps for the sofas. You have to know, otherwise you're not going to get a good deal, because they don't have the stores here, and they don't have the ability. They don't buy online the way we do. It's very different. Like they contact a designer and then you contact your reps, and it's very old school. Very, very
Oh my
old school.
gosh.
It was nice. It was a nice experience.
So you started these projects and you had a point of contact already in your contractor. So did you get a lot of input from him when it comes to sourcing and upholstery,
Well,
like that?
no, because he's not a contractor. He's just a money guy.
He's
So
just a money guy.
he's a money guy. I had to reach out to some friends of mine. So I had some friends that I had made, actually even through Instagram. I made two friends through Instagram that are really incredible designers that live just outside of Barcelona. And
Okay.
so I reached out to both of them. And then my neighbor at the time happened to be an architect. So it was just all things aligning. And they're wonderful. They're actually part of my team even now. So when I have questions or we want to build something, I need an architect. I created this little circle of trust that I absolutely love and go to. And those two guys are still my part of my team whenever I create something. But if they really just kind of came to me as it does, right? Because I was watching and listening. And yeah, my neighbor ended up being this incredible architect, and a contactor reached out to me on Instagram. Turns out to be one of the best designers, and he has a store. So go figure.
Lovely. I
I know.
mean,
It couldn't have been better.
so here's a like a burning question. And I know our audience wants to know, like, so at that point you had your business in LA or in the LA area.
Exactly.
When did you decide, like, okay, now it's time to move to Barcelona, I'm gonna start my business? And like, did it grow on you, or was it like, now I'm doing it?
You know what really brought me here is everybody remembers the trade only design library. So it was trade only design library. It was called Total. And the founder of Total, Stacy Tiburon, she's a dear friend, and we had partnered with Design Camp and Total. And then it became Steel Yard, and she left that business, and I left Design Camp, and she circled back around to me and said, look, I've started something else. I know that you would be incredible. I need somebody in Europe, that's that other person, to open up the European branch of this business. And it's a technology platform that's built for antique dealers, art dealers, and vintage dealers, and dealers of one-of-a-kind things. So
I've heard about that.
I screamed, I was like, I couldn't get my hand in the air fast enough, because these are all the things that were coming at me. I was like, are you kidding me? What? You need somebody in Europe. I mean, that's all I've been thinking about. And of course, she was there. So that was one of those things that I was like listening to. So it wasn't me going, I'm going to move my business to Europe and I'm going to be a designer in Europe. It was me going, yes, I'm going to go work on this project. And then any design projects that come to me, I will take them and learn. And so that's how that evolves, really, is that me. And I now sit as the Senior Vice President of Operations and Industry Relations for Renati. The company's Renati, and we create technology for dealers.
Wow. Okay. We're going to put it down below, like the link, so everybody
Yes,
up for that.
Yes.
So I know, like, starting a business when I came from Sweden to the United States, I was so happy because we have the blessed LLC here in the US. I mean, it's so easy to start a business. It's just, you just go online and there you go. Is it more complicated to start a business in Spain, or do they have LLCs there?
They do have an equivalent. It's very similar. it's autonomous. It's called autonomous, and it's basically autonomous by myself, right? And so you can do the
Oh.
LLC yourself. They have different areas, different levels of the businesses. It's not as easy as you can imagine. Nothing's quick and fast and easy. I joked that when I first came here, there's no such word as hustle in Spanish, by the way. Nope, doesn't exist.
Nope.
Tranquila, relax.
Mañana.
Tranquila, por favor.
And you're like
I got that,
ripping your hair.
pulling my hair out, right? Because I got here and I was like, I need this thing. And they're like, oh my God, tranquila, Americana, por favor, right? Like, settle down. You came here for a reason. I had to really learn to bring it down, bring it down. But so everything is very much slower. So I focused on working with Renati, doing all of that. And then as the projects came to me, thankfully, when you're dealing with a money guy and a builder, those things are not quick. So it gave me a lot of time to establish myself, get my roots as a designer set up so that I could then proceed when these things started to build out. It was actually fortuitous that way.
Wow. And so do you think you could use your experience as almost an attorney, like a transferable knowledge into kind of starting that business, or did you have to hire another attorney in Spain?
No, you don't need to hire an attorney. It's pretty
Okay.
it's cut and dry, but of course contracts are different, and it does help having somebody with you who's fluent. So when I first got here, reading and writing and speaking was challenging. It's much better now, of course, but
Yeah.
in the beginning, I mean, even opening a bank account, you know,
I can imagine that being tough. Mm-hmm.
yo quiero un accounto, and they're like, what? So then you learn really how to get better, how to be more fluent, how to go with the flow, how to say the things you need to say, and let alone read a contract. But it was really nice to have my friends who knew exactly what those were, and yeah. And I have a partner here who's wonderful, not a business partner, a personal partner,
Yeah.
and he's also in real estate and negotiation.
Convenient.
So
Yeah.
I surround myself basically with all the people that I needed.
Yeah, but I mean the power of manifesting, right? Like if you manifest,
Exactly.
things kind of come to you.
100%.
I'm a big
Yeah.
believer in that.
So,
So I'm so interested because I looked at your website, and I'm sure the audience too is like, because I know you're an artist too.
yes, I am a licensed artist with Left Bank Art. So I have been drawing forever and ever and ever and ever. It was one of my first passions, really. But having a father as a judge, he was like, you can paint, when you retire, kind of
Right.
thing.
Yeah.
Then fast forward, the owner of Left Bank Art, I designed his entire home. It's over 12,000 square feet. It's 3 levels. It took us over a year and a half, and I designed his home kind of on the down low. It was something that's very private. It's a private home, not something that I advertised, but what I was I really always wanted to be an artist, but I never, ever, ever pitched him because I just thought it would be so tacky. And one day, the architect, as you can appreciate this, the builder, the contractor, the GC on the project was like, this plan does not even make sense. Like, this beam cannot do this in order to get the entry that he drew. I need you to redraw this because my guys are literally standing with a hammer and nails. And so I am on site redrawing what the architect put in there because something, it just didn't work. There was no way it was going to, right?
Yep.
So I get in there, I start drawing, I start sketching, and the owner of the home and Left Bank comes up to me and goes, when are you going to pitch me? Like, as an artist? And I died.
Wow.
Totally died. I was like,
You're like,
and he's like, you can pitch my team so that it's an unbiased thing, but send in what you do. What do you like to do? And I was like, everything. I have so many drawings from over the years of cities and this and that, of course, buildings. I was like, can I pitch you? And he's like, yes. And so fast forward, I've been a licensed artist with them, one of their first licensed artists, and still do it. I still go around the city drawing. Now I do it digitally on my iPad. Anywhere I go, I'm sketching.
Yeah.
And it's just my collection's grown and grown and grown with left bank art. I love it.
Wow. So
Yeah.
do you export art over the Atlantic? How do you do?
No, I've learned. I actually, when I first came here, I got the easel and I was doing all of my drawings. Now everything's drawn on purpose because I can do that digitally. I learned that when I painted on canvas and tried to export my canvases, they all got stopped in customs. Like I
Yeah.
was, yep, I couldn't do it. They were like, they took them. They were confiscated. They thought I was smuggling art. And I thought, oh my gosh, they're mine. Do I have photos of me painting these? And so it didn't matter. So I've learned now that everything I do is digital. And then when I go to California, where left bank art is actually made and reproduced, and the designers will know left bank art is made to order in California. And so it's reproduced. And so I can go and then put my hands, my touches on the pieces that I want exactly how I want them when I go and visit and tell left bank, this is how we do it when we reproduce it. Because what the beautiful thing with left bank is you can pick things, you can pick pieces that you like, and then some of them are hand embellished and they're done in the artist manner. Because I've had my art like reproduced on elevator doors. Like I've seen my art everywhere. It's insane.
Yeah.
It's really fun. It's really fun.
That's actually great. Like it's kind of
Really
more
great.
terrible. But
Yeah.
I actually have a similar experience. We had to import it. We wanted to import photo art from Great Britain. And they got stuck in customs because they didn't believe me when I said like how much they were worth. They were like, no, they're worth more.
Right.
Because they were
Really?
signed photographs, and it took like 2 months to get them through customs.
I know.
So
Yeah.
it's hard. It's really hard. So do you don't send stuff between?
Digital. It's all digital. I do all my drawings now because I was doing hand drawings anyway on paper. And so now I've learned I've got all the best programs. I've got the best iPad Air programs, and I use all of the good programs in order to do my drawings. And now it's all digital. So I don't have to worry that anything's going to get stuck in between customs, between Europe and the US. So it's worked out. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, so you don't send like furniture or anything across the Atlantic either. You kind of source.
Everything is here really that I want. So this is what I've learned. This is what I've learned about European home design. Because, I mean, you can see outside, right? You can see my balcony. You can see I live in a building that was built in 1900. And I've got incredible high ceilings, the original moldings, the original tile floors. I live with all the original details. And so people here are so used to living with antiques and this feeling, right? This old world feeling that's real. We're not trying to recreate this. We're not trying to recreate this. So what they want to learn is modern furnishings. And most of the modern furnishings to juxtapose, right, what they currently are living with a touch of an antique here and a touch of a vintage piece here. But most of the time, everything is very clean within the old world walls. And that's the aesthetic that people really, really like here. They like it simple, depending on if you're at the beach or if you're on the islands, it's very, very simple, very clean. And if you're in the city like this, you're going to see modern interiors because I already have those old walls. And a lot of those pieces will come from Italy, right? And come from the continent, right? They're going to come from France, they're going to come from Italy. And so a lot of the beautiful pieces, like there'll be a couple of carved antiques thrown in there, but really for the most part, it's very clean. And a nice mix of polished and antiques. I love it. Actually, I really love it. The aesthetic here is really interesting. It's been very eye-opening where I realized that in the States, we're constantly trying to create history.
Recreate history.
We're layering on things and trying to put things in there to old, Yep.
Yeah. Yep. Oh yeah. So I have a question that I'm very interested to hear about, and also I know the audience. Like, so you started this design business, right? Your gut was telling you start a design business, Kelli, and you did.
Yeah.
And you run it. And how did you venture into television from that?
Oh, wow. Yeah. So my best friend from law school, she was like, we were two peas in a pod. She became an agent, a voiceover agent in Los Angeles after school. I, of course, dropped out. I got married, had two babies right away. So my kids right now are 27 and 28. Yeah, I have.
What?
I'm 50.
Okay.
So everybody's doing the math. I'm 53. My kids are 27 and 28. So
Mm.
I was married young, had my two kids. I started my interior design business, and then probably 7 months into actually hanging my flag as an interior designer, my girlfriend from law school, who was watching all the things that I did because I designed in college and everything, and I designed everyone's homes and I designed everything. She's like, you have to audition for this show that just came across our desks here in my office. And I have a baby on my shoulder. I'm literally going,
You're like, wait, hold on.
how am I going to do that? And she wouldn't leave me alone for about 9 months. And this was the time of Trading Spaces. So everybody remembers TLC back in the day. Super
Yeah.
popular shows. HGTV was just starting to boom. TLC was super, super popular. And it was a TLC show called Clean Sweep. And so it was myself, the hunky carpenter, and our organizer that did 2 rooms, 2 days, $2,000. And I auditioned for the show. I got it. And that was it. The career took off, and I was on my way. And
Wow.
it just rolled from one show to the next into HGTV, lots and lots of shows on HGTV. And
Yep.
I'm still hosting. I have a new show coming out this year on the Design Network
I
called
know.
Extravagances. I mean, it just keeps going, and I am just rolling with it because I have so much fun doing it. That's probably just the most guilty pleasure fun that I have. It's just running around, looking at beautiful homes and talking about them. And I've just been very, very grateful to be able to keep doing it for so dang long.
Wow. And so that new show, when does it premiere?
It premieres, I think it's going to premiere. I was hoping that it would premiere during market because that would be so much fun. But we're going to premiere in November, end of October, early November. It's literally in final editing stages. They let me know, keep me up to date. We're already talking about season 2.
Yeah.
And it's so much fun. It's like I said, it's called Extravagant Spaces. And I get to go and travel to some of the most incredible homes ever. Like some of them are 62,000 square feet.
What?
Yeah. 62,000 square feet of a home.
Kind of hard to grasp.
It's so hard to grasp. In my head, that was a mall, right? I mean, that was
Yeah.
like a mini mall. Yeah,
Did it feel like a mall?
it
No,
did.
it
Yeah,
did.
no,
Oh, okay.
it did.
It was that big. Okay.
It's
Yeah.
that big. We go through these spaces and we meet the homeowners. We sometimes meet the designers.
Mm.
We get to hear the whys, and the builder in particular. It was all of them were in Scottsdale, and we worked with one builder, and he is just Mark Candelaria. He's incredible and fun and funny. And it's he and I going through all of his projects. And then the next season will be myself and another extravagant builder. I can't give away too much, but they're just these spaces that are just so over the top. It's so much fun. And I get to be the host. I don't have to design them. So even better.
That's even better. I
Yeah,
mean,
even better.
everybody who's listening, you got to sign up for TDN and go watch Kelli. I'm super excited. So you're working everywhere and you have businesses like I I just have to share this. When I moved to Canada, started my business in Canada, I had a business in Sweden, the US, and then I started a business in Canada. And that year I had to pay 102% in taxes.
In Canada.
Just from Sweden, US, and Canada. And I was going to get it back, of course, but at that point I had to pay like 102%. I almost went broke. Have you had any experience like that with tax problems or?
Before I even went, and I highly recommend this to anybody if you're even thinking about setting up a business anywhere, is you have to have an expat attorney. and you need to have an expat tax person. Like
Yeah.
an expat, for most of you who don't know, is anybody that's living outside of their original country, right? My mom was like, that sounds so terrible and anti-patriotic, you know, she's so American. But she really did. She had a fit. She's like, oh, look at that term. It just sounds like you don't love your country. I'm like, all right, mom, I'm waving a flag. I love America. Okay.
I'm still an expat.
I'm still a US citizen, I promise you. Yes. But and I pay taxes in the US, of course. But you really you need to talk to people who can help you out from the get-go, because you can run into those problems, those holes, if you don't know how to set it up before you go, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, it can be terrible, and it can just like literally cut you off before you even get started. So I can't recommend that enough. I've shared my my tax guy with everybody, and I'll do that. If anybody's thinking about setting up a business, by all means, reach out to me. If you're talking about taxes and you live somewhere else, I've got some great people, but it is really important that you understand how the structure works. But yeah, it can be very rewarding or terrible if you don't plan, right?
Yeah, I learned that the hard way. I wish I'd talked to you before.
It's okay. That's why we're here now.
But yeah. So what about visas? Like, because the first project you said you did the design plan, right? So you were working from the US. Do you have to have some sort of visa then, or is it just you're on American soil, you work from America? Or how does that work?
If I'm on American soil, then it doesn't matter, right? So I can work even when I go to the US and I still work on projects over here, I'm working with people who will carry out my ideas. So it doesn't matter where you are. It's almost like, it's so funny because 10 years ago, if we told a designer they're going to work remotely, they'd be like, everybody goes, how are we going to do that? You know, and now of course, we have it all figured out. You know, whether it's through your WhatsApps or your applications or you're doing things. I mean, I literally do things with WhatsApp or FaceTime with my clients all the time. I have clients in LA that I work with right now and on the East Coast right now. So I'm designing a house in Connecticut and I'm designing a house in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Right now. And it's all done virtually. It's all done. Here's your space plan, draw this up. Here you go. Working documents so that everybody knows what's happening. We're so super organized. And so it's not hard. So when I'm in the US and I need to work on these projects in the south of Spain, it's no big deal because I do split time between both. So
yeah. So and I agree. I mean, I would say, do you think COVID sped that whole process up, right?
100%, because like I said before that, everybody freaked out. But we've just gotten so used to buying things and doing things online. I mean, remember when Zappos came out and everybody was like, who's gonna buy shoes online? That's terrible. Right? And now we buy everything online, and our clients, you know, are shopping online. Unfortunately, they're shopping us. So we need to learn how to charge better. That's a whole other conversation that we can get into.
That's a whole show of its own.
Whole other show. It is, but I think that we've learned to get past that, the weird, you know, I can't buy it, and the people are spending more and more and more. So the threshold goes up every year too, and I know that because I'm in the business now, right? We're sourcing or helping dealers sell antiques online, and before it was like, oh, how much money is anybody going to spend online? And it was really low threshold before, like only 2,000 or 3,000. Now, right, you've got people doing Sotheby's auction, sight unseen, online, spending millions of dollars on items that they have not even touched or seen. So we have a lot of faith and trust in the person that's on the other end, and I do the same thing. As long as you have a good point person, I think you can do anything, really.
So talking about that point person, like, so for instance, if you design something remotely, how important is it to have this person? Like, where do you put your trust? Like, do you put your trust in your contractor to check that everything gets done the right way that you want it, or do you travel back and forth? How does like the boots on the ground work here?
Yeah, that's a good question. Both. It depends on really the budget of your client. If they want to fly you back and forth, and that's obviously going to be part of your fee, right? You're going to set that fee up and you're going to fly you back and forth so that you can go and check on it. But I rely on my dream team. Like I said, I've got the team here so that I know if I'm somewhere else, I know that we are all in agreement on what's going to be done and how, right? It's been drawn, it's been spec'd, it's been sourced, like we know exactly what's supposed to happen. Same within the US, right? So if you can trust and or your client and or your contractor or both to go, this is what we agreed upon, this is what we want, so that nothing gets screwed up. Excuse me, I got to itch my throat. There's nothing more important to having a point person, in my opinion, especially if you can't be there. It's too hard.
Yeah. And for me, at least, I know that it's been, a little try and error.
Yeah.
Sometimes, so sometimes I say it's almost like an arranged marriage. You find someone, you look at them, you're like, he's probably good. And then you start your projects, and then it's like the first project might be the second is a little better, the third, that's when the magic starts happening, right?
Because you have to learn each other, you have to learn like how each other works. I think coming out strong and setting up your expectations is massively important. Like I said, I'm 53, so I guess you can equate it to dating and or arranged marriages. You're not going to put up with too much. You got a pretty long list.
Right. Yeah. The older you get. Yeah.
I need this, I need this, I need this, I need this. And like, okay, then we're going to work out. How do you work? Are you good with emails? Are you good with text messages? Can I call you off hours? Yes or no? And answers are okay either way. You have to set your boundaries depending on what you have going on in your life. I think the ones that are like willing to play, right away, that they're very efficient. And they're going to go, oh, yes, okay, we're good with that. Yes, we're happy to give you, send you photos. Yes, we're happy to let you know if we have a problem right away. Yeah, so that you don't go, wait, what? After the fact. So it's really important that you find that person, especially when you're long distance. They need to be extra special.
Yeah. And you want them to call you with questions.
100%.
Yeah,
absolutely. Don't wait. We can't wait afterwards, right? When you've already closed the wall and you're like, oh, you didn't do what with the pipes? How, what, that kind of thing. So
no,
yeah, it's important.
But sometimes I feel like you almost, when a person walks into the room, like just by the, intensity around them or something.
Yes.
I don't know. I can't put my finger on it, but the ones I work with, I saw them. I was like, that's going to work.
They match your energy. I think that's a big part of it. And it's funny because I'm doing a keynote for Berkshire Hathaway after High Point Market. And I'm flying, talking to the 1% of Berkshire Hathaway agents about emotional intelligence, really, and selling. And I think emotional intelligence in any relationship, right, is so huge, because it's your ability to understand your own emotions with somebody else's. And if you can't understand that, you're never going to connect, right? So even with your contractors, your key people, your clients, everybody that comes into your life, and those relationships are so key. Like you've probably said no to a client before because you're just like, this is not going to work out.
Right? I fired clients too. I mean, I'm guilty.
Yeah, but you should be able to do that. That is understanding your own emotional intelligence, having emotional intelligence to say, I am recognizing that we are not on the same wavelength, and it's going to be a very difficult process. This is not going to work out, right? And it is like dating, like we said, with your clients, with anybody. If you have asked the right questions, shut up and listen, and then you'll know like how this is going to go and how it's not going to go. And like you said, when they came in the room and their energy was a certain way, that's what you really need to pay attention to. And people don't sometimes. They just go, I need this job, I'm going to take it. And sometimes those are the ones that you really regret, that you really go, oh God, I should have listened to my gut on that one. I've done it.
There's the gut again. So I'm sure we have quite a lot of young aspiring designers watching this, and maybe even students that they want to work abroad, or they want to work remotely inside the US. I mean, the US is huge. What advice would you give, like, what's the most important thing in your opinion when starting to work remotely or internationally?
I think having a system. So I set up a remote business even when I was in the US, right? And a lot of designers have tried to do it. Some of them have done it successfully and some of them haven't. It's been a tough thing. And there's been a lot of companies that have come and gone as well, trying to set up an online design business, right? And I think now, as we progress, COVID having a lot to do with it, people are more accepting of that online relationship. And we are used to this, right? So now we've gotten used to, I feel like we've met. And when I see you in person, it'll just be, oh, you have legs, right? But we we feel like we've met each other, whereas before that wasn't acceptable at all. Like Skype was not a fun thing. That was kind of like a last ditch effort. Now it's completely acceptable. And I will have clients take me around with their phone to show me their rooms and spaces, right? So
Yep.
I think having a really good system and being very good with your expectations to your client so that they know what to expect and breaking down any questions they could possibly have. I know there are a few designers that do it really well. I say, if you can, go out, find the designers that are doing online design successfully and follow them and see what they're doing. See what they offer, what the process looks like, what questions they ask, how often do they do video consultations, how often do they deliver, working documents? What does that look like? Like, really do your research, because people have come and gone trying to set up the system of what's going to work and what's not going to work. And it's changed. It's changed a lot from beginning to end. And even today, I think as we get better with AI and virtual room tours and everything that keeps coming out, every time we get something new, it's just going to make the process so much easier each time. Like, if somebody's able to do a 3D room scan, then I can do a 3D design plan, right? Like, so
Absolutely.
it's all evolving so fast that you just need to stay on top of it, but see what the top ones are actually delivering so you can put together a nice package that like is a good reflection of you as the designer.
Yeah. So to sum this up to our viewers, be organized, get an expat attorney, an accountant maybe, and go with your gut.
Go with your gut. Go with your gut. And
that's kind of what we're
that's it. You know what? It's always the leap of faith for all of it, and you hear that from everybody. I don't know if anybody follows the woman who created Spanx. She is like one of my favorite people ever. I love listening to her. I love watching her. I follow her on Instagram. She's full of incredible device. Sarah Blakeney. It's Blakeney.
We need to link that too here down here.
You do. And she has the most inspirational advice to young girls and women, no matter what it is you want to do. And she's like, if I listened to how many no's I got, there is no way I would be here today. Not a chance. She's like, you just have to go with your gut. And she just knew that she had something there. And that's true of any idea, right? And I know everybody is going, okay, I could do XYZ. I want to do long distance. I want to travel the world. I want to design fabrics. I want to do tabletop. I want to do accessories. I want to open an online store, podcast. You fill in the blanks, because there's so many areas of design that you could get into, right? It doesn't have to just be designing a room, but there's a lot of different areas. At High Point, even, I'm having a discussion about fashion and interior design and how they cross over. Like,
very closely knit. Very closely
knit. And it's such a fun conversation, because I love to see how many fashion houses are now opening a home vertical, right?
Yeah.
And so they're doing that, and they're merging how we see everything. So they all did it on their gut. We wouldn't have anything. If somebody didn't listen to their gut, we'd have very little.
for sure. So we're closing up towards the end of the hour here, and I have this segment called 3 Quick Ones. Okay, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Favorite designer apart from you and I?
Wow. Oh, that's so hard.
You can name 3 if you want.
No, it's so hard. I have some, I mean, there's some people that I really, really, really love, and I've got 19 different people in my head. Who's my favorite designer? Who does the things that I love the most? You
Oh,
really are in the spot here.
or you're like, no, I can't mention anyone because then the other ones are gonna be pissed.
No, I really do. Luis Bustamante is one of my absolute favorites. And so I share him a lot on my Instagram. So I have a lot of designers that are like, oh my God, this is fantastic. And it's him a lot of the times.
Okay.
So I really do love him because he's very avant-garde and throws in the unexpected. So yes.
Okay. Good choice. And second question, biggest no-no when it comes to interior design.
Oh, throwing yourself in there. That's my biggest no. Is like designing out of your own ego. I think designers that don't listen to their clients enough and they're just trying to make a statement is such a no. It's a huge no. There's
Yeah,
have you ever gone into and redo somebody else's work because the person's not happy with an interior design project that they had?
yeah, many times. Many times. And it's so hard too to be the second designer coming in. So yeah, that's a
Because the
good
first one
choice.
didn't listen. The first one didn't listen. And it's so sad to me because people spend so much time and effort and money led down roads that they were not listened to. So I think it's just the biggest no-no is I guess not listening is the
Mm,
big
wow.
yeah.
That's a great answer. And then the last and most important question of all, your standard Starbucks order.
Oh, I do really. I mean, right now I actually had to have pumpkin. I broke down and got pumpkin spice here. And it's different, I have to tell you that. But it's a
Oh,
sugar-free vanilla latte.
sugar-free vanilla latte.
Vanilla latte. Yeah,
Oh,
that's jam.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Kelly. You're such an amazing person, and you're such an inspiration for all of us.
That's sweet. I hope somebody gleans something and just goes, you know what? I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna do it. You live one time, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So where can we follow you on the World Wide Web?
Yes. So Instagram is the most updated everything that I'm doing is on Instagram at designer Kelli Ellis, Kelly with an I. And so I put everything there, all the different things that are going on at High Point. I just posted. I actually do that for myself. The truth be told, I actually put my own agenda on Instagram so I know where the heck I need to be. That is not a lie. But also friends and family can come and find me and say hello.
Oh,
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I'm like, where am I supposed to be next? Oh, here. Everybody come say hi.
okay.
Selfie, come say hi. We can talk about your gut, where you want to go, where you want to design. If you want to leave the country, you know, I'm going to be your fan and your advocate for sure, because I just think it's just the best adventure.
Okay, and then we're just gonna link everything below here. And for all of you listening too, if you have questions, comments, or even if you want to be on this show, you can DM me on Instagram too. It's at Christina Richardson Interiors. Thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, Kelly. It's been a pleasure. And
Thank you so much. I loved it. It was really, really fun. I hope to see you in person, see you have legs.
yay! Absolutely. And thank you all of you who have been listening, and I hope you really got inspired and that you feel like you got some great advice. Thank you.
Protect your business. You've worked hard to build it. DSA Insure. Insurance for interior designers.
Second question.